Hi guys, we're back in the shack and I'm Maggie Reese.
And I'm John McManamy, and wait, hold on, Maggie. Isn't it Hawaiian shirt day today at the shack?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that.
You forgot? Oh, how could you?
What is
Hold
going
on.
I don't even know what he's doing. I don't know. He's always doing weird stuff.
It's Hawaiian shirt day.
Oh man, there we go.
You gotta pick a shirt.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take this off. I think I'm gonna go with turquoise because that's
Turquoise.
my favorite.
Okay. Okay.
Oh man, we're going into Hawaii here. Are we gonna do the hukilau? Are we going to the hukilau? The hukilau.
I put my arm in the wrong sleeve.
we are in now throwing our fishes out or our nets into the sea, and we're gonna go to the hukilau. All right, we're there. Awesome.
Yeah, and doesn't the shack have a Hawaiian name anyway? What are they?
Oh yeah, this is called the palapa.
It's the palapa. So
yeah,
hello everybody.
Aloha from the palapa.
From the palapa.
That's right.
Okay. So, you look stunning in your Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, and so do you.
Yes,
we are
it matches.
All of a sudden in Oahu, coming at you. I wish. Someday when we're like crazy wealthy, we're just going to be like, so we're on set from Oahu today.
Right.
On Waikiki.
Yeah.
Bring out my pina colada now, please.
Yeah, or your dihydrogen oxide.
Yes, or just throw clonazepam in there.
Yep.
Just kidding. I'm totally just kidding. Don't listen to anything I say.
Yeah, okay.
Awesome. So, I don't even know what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
Stress.
Oh, yeah. So, see, you just get a pina colada and the stress just goes.
Yeah.
So tell me, like, how do we want to attack stress, John? That's like a crazy topic.
It's crazy because this
big.
is serious now because it just triggers so many of our episodes. If we can't handle the stress, in fact, I'd say 90% of mental illness is stress.
Right. And it's and the stress you're talking about, the triggers that the stress.
Trigger.
That it does, and then it triggers the illness.
And we have vulnerable brains that are predispositioned to react badly to stress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Darn it all. I wish not, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and I've got some nerd talk on our video where I talk about how our genes and cells and circuits. We're not all born with the same gene cells and circuits. And there can be a genetic vulnerability where we're doing just fine, but then when we hit a stressful situation in our environment, the gene will respond in a way that initiates proteins that sets up a whole cascade of stuff happening inside our cells where certain parts of our brain go off like a smoke alarm detector.
Right.
And it's an overreaction, and that sets up negative behaviors, everything from depression to anxiety to mania. And if it persists, then we're going to do a whole bunch of things that are what they call maladaptive. We may take drugs, or we may become avoidant. We don't want to get in situations, and we stay inside the house.
Or we become an alcoholic, or we're like seriously stuffing it all the time and white knuckling it. Don't you feel?
White knuckling?
Like there's people for years that didn't even know they had bipolar, and they're just white knuckling it with the stress. They're just like, oh, I'm gonna make it, and then it turns into a massive episode because there's no more white knuckling it anymore.
Right. So this is. So here is where Freud is right. Okay, so we had this period in psychiatry where it's like, hey, we're finding out how the brain works, and we've got new drugs, and they kind of threw Freud out like the baby with the bathwater. And now Freud had a lot of silly stuff going on, but he was right about the unconscious mind and how we don't react in an adaptive way to a lot of things that are going on in our environment.
Right.
So we're having to fold Freud back into this now, and there's a Nobel Prize winning psychiatrist, Eric Kandel. He talks about a new science of a mind, because he trained as a Freudian psychoanalyst, but then devoted his career to brain science. Okay, and he got the Nobel Prize for work he did on neurons. Okay, but he's coming back, you know, in his old age to his Freudian upbringing. He says, let's fold this back in. And so part of Freud is all about stress. And Freud started his career. I'm getting nerdy on you now.
No, that's good. We want this, right, guys?
Okay.
We're learning.
Freud, of all things, started his career, it was a reverse Eric Kandel. Eric Kandel started out as a psychoanalyst and went to brain science. Freud started out as a brain scientist and invented psychoanalysis. If Freud had stayed in brain science, a lot of his work was pointing to the neuron as the foundation of our behavior.
Right.
But then he started seeing patients in 1890, 1895 or something, and everything changed after that.
Right, it just went on.
But now it's folded, integrated, so stress is a whole part of this. It's not separate from our brains, it's not all in the minds, it gets mediated through our brains. So we've got this genetic vulnerability.
Right.
Okay, so our amygdala, that's in another video.
Yeah, amygdala. I remember that one.
Fight or flight. You remember, and you pronounce it right. And
I said amygdala earlier.
Amygdala. Yeah, my favorite person, amygdala.
Amygdala, and now it's amygdala.
Amygdala. But when you're feeling stressed, your amygdala is going off like an alarm, and it's throwing. In good situations, it could get your frontal lobes, primed for action.
Right.
But when we overshoot it,
then it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It throws our thinking parts of the brain off, and then we're reacting as if we're lower mammals or reptiles.
Oh yeah, I feel like I just fall flat, and everything just I can't do anything.
Okay, now I had a situation. 2 nights ago. I'm reworking my website. And it involves making it adjustable for mobile devices. So it means I have to learn some new coding techniques.
Right.
This is driving me freaking crazy.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Okay, so after a certain time, it's just sending off stress alarms, and then it's like, I realized, I got to shut it down. I can't think anymore. I'm so stressed out over this.
Yeah.
So it could mean my computer was going to blow up on me, or I was going to lose a whole day's work because I was going to do something stupid at that stage. It's like you want to get a hammer and if I do that with writing code and I'm not remembering the code I write and I'm not doing it with my mind fully engaged, you put a semicolon wrong in the code.
It's over.
It's a train wreck.
Yeah.
So that's where we've got to be alert to what stress can do to
for sure.
our thinking. So I had to walk away from it at work at that stage and said, I'm done.
Yeah. And come back later.
Come back.
Or don't come back at all.
No, because it was going to take the mind a while to settle down. It was like I had to find new things. This is a time to wash the dirty dishes in the sink.
Oh yeah.
Or something.
I know. Sometimes that's with me. If it's just stress overload, I'm like, you know what? I'm out. I'm totally done. I can't do this anymore. Whatever that thing is.
Yeah. And I think it's important. And it's interesting you brought up family, because you've got to have family or friends around you who understand this.
Yeah, when you're stressed and the stress leads to dunzo. I call it dunzo.
Dunzo, because if a person's trying to be, if your family member or your friend's trying to be reasonable and rational with you, it doesn't work in those situations. They've got to respond sympathetically. That helps reduce your own stress levels. If you feel you're not getting through, your stress levels are going to be raised even higher. So somebody sometimes has to take over as your frontal lobes.
For sure.
And we talked about that. Check out our relationships video on this YouTube channel.
The whole frontal lobes. I was using that term last week to Matt. He's like, what is with this frontal lobe thing you're saying? I'm like, well, John McManamy says blah, blah, blah with the frontal lobes, But it's true. Like, I need someone. I said, Matt, I need you to be my frontal lobes right now, because I am not, there's nothing going through. Nothing is happening. I can't do this. And then he can be that guy that's like, okay, I'm making the decisions, even if it's dinner, if it's a simple thing, because when I shut down, I really shut down. Like, I can't do
sometimes even simple tasks are hard. And actually they show that people with a bipolar diagnosis, they often score lower on intelligence tests.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of what's related to this is stress, because if we're trying to do stressful things, I mean, they will do stuff like they'll get people trying to solve math problems in a very defined time limit, and they'll introduce a stressful environment. You got 2 minutes to go.
That makes sense for school, because I did not do well in school.
Yeah.
Because everything was timed, and I don't do well with time. Anything with time, I start stressing out.
I do terrible on formal tests.
Yeah.
Because I stress out. The brain, the thinking parts of the brain, are severely compromised.
Yeah, it's like a curtain is immediately like that, and it's over.
So it's not like we're not intelligent, but this is where the multiple effects happen. Okay, so we get stressed. Our behavior can get unpredictable, but also our thinking is severely compromised. And even in like a party situation, imagine yourself. Okay, you're at a family function. You're in a strange environment. People are talking all around the room, and you're finding it hard to tune them out because we got these brains that can't tune things out. And
too many things.
Too many things are going on, and we get stressed about that. And then we're trying to remember, this family member who we haven't talked to in 2 years, and we're trying to get along. And somebody else is butting into the conversation, and suddenly we lose track of events.
Yes.
And often that's where we have to put some management techniques, and maybe we can go into some of the management techniques for stress, because in that kind of a situation, it's okay to remove yourself from the conversation.
Oh, for sure.
Get to a corner of the room where nobody else is. Walk out the door. Take a few breaths. I'm really big on chill breaks. Maybe you can talk about that, because you take timeouts, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of timeouts,
Yeah.
and sometimes I just leave the party altogether, and I say, I've got to get home. And my really good friends now, they know that, Maggie's out, and they don't get offended. But say if I'm at a party where people don't know me, you can always make up a good excuse and get out of there. So
there's always a good excuse.
There's always something.
You got to return a library book,
Something, I don't know. Yeah, you've got a meeting, but you were glad you could come.
Yeah, you got to do your tax return from 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Whatever it is, come up with something, and you just got to go. Or you could even say, I'm really worn out, but I'm glad I was able to come. Before you do get yourself in those stressful, awful situations.
And then you also have to anticipate stressful situations. And we've talked about this before. Sometimes we stack up too many things to do during the day.
Right.
And we have to be willing to say, okay, we're not going to get this done today. We're not going to make this trip to the hardware store today.
Yes. Or we're not going to, it's sometimes for me, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to do the big dinner I planned. I'm just going to order Pizza Hut, and I'm just going to have it delivered. And make some breadsticks in there, too. I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
so long as it's Hawaiian pizza with pineapple.
Exactly. So yesterday I was actually almost going to do the pizza day, but then my day started to get better, and I was able to cook. I did like a little Mexican dinner at the end, and we had some margaritas, and it was all good. But I had my backup plan was if I didn't feel well, I was just going to order some Pizza Hut, and then we were going to
Okay, funny thing, last night I did the exact opposite, because cooking can also be a stress release.
Yes.
So I'm going crazy learning coding and all of this stuff. So I decided it was a good time for me to make a meatloaf.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this was the Barefoot Contessa recipe for meatloaf. I did a few changes.
Yeah.
But it was like...
It's relaxing.
It was relaxing. Because when you're chopping onions, this is it's taking your mind off of computer coding.
Yeah.
It's taking your mind off of all the crap you've had in the day, because you got a knife working close to your fingers.
Right.
And so anything that will take your mind off of your daily stuff, and cooking does this really well for me. So I made a killer meatloaf last night.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I was gonna bring it,
Dang it!
But,
Next time we're gonna have meatloaf in the shack.
Yeah, meatloaf in the next video. Meatloaf in the shack.
And all the things that go into the meatloaf.
Yeah, and then your Mexican food in the shack. Yeah. Yeah, but but on one hand, sometimes we have to know when not to cook and order the Pizza Hut. And other times it's like, okay, the Pizza Hut's just going to make. If I order pizza and I just go back to trying to push a rock uphill with this computer code.
Depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation, and this is where we've got to be smart enough to know how we work in certain situations. Bipolar, I keep emphasizing, it's a cycling illness. Everything is changing all the time. We have to anticipate.
And that's where we have to adjust.
We have to adjust, anticipate, adjust, anticipate. It's constant. Other people, their brains are much slower. They don't cycle in this way, and they can rely more on their days going according to certain schedules. But we have to take the extra. We don't. We have to take the extra steps. So we've got to anticipate when these stressful situations occur. And there's also Maggie. You do yoga now. That's a great stress release.
Yeah,
it's a great stress buster.
I love. I mean, when I can get to the gym, sometimes I don't. I hate gyms. I'm not a gym person, but when I do get to the actual class, I feel like it's just the breathing and the meditation stuff. I'm not really into meditation, but just where you just relax and do all these stretches and the breathing. For me, I pray throughout the yoga, so I take my faith into the yoga.
That's a comfort.
And they're all doing the namaste, which I'm like, whatevs, I'm out. I pray to Jesus, so I'm a big Jesus freak. But that's what works for me, and so I feel like I'm in prayer.
Well, there's very uplifting stuff in the Gospels and in the Old Testament.
Yeah. So that's my stress reliever, and you guys come up with yours. And
but in yoga also there's we mentioned some of the practical tricks. One of them is in yoga breathing. When your breath outtake, when your exhale is longer than your inhale, that will kick in a relaxation response.
Definitely.
It'll trigger autonomic nervous system. There's sympathetic and parasympathetic. I get them mixed up, but one of them One of them is fight and flight. The other is rest and digest.
Well, there you go.
Okay, so if you're doing, just kind of, count to 10 or something, and just make sure the exhale is longer than the inhale. Or they got these things where you breathe through the nose, and you can look those up online.
Yeah.
And they, you kind of breathe in, say, for 4 counts, and then you breathe out another nostril for, say, 8 counts. It'll make it easier for you to sleep, and
takes your stress down.
It takes your stress levels down, and that's much better. Sometimes we do need to have the Klonopin or whatever, but those can have addictive qualities if you can.
Definitely.
If you're at work and stressful situations coming up, I mean, this is your number one mental health killer app is breathing.
Definitely.
Because you can take your stress levels down.
Oh yeah.
So it's not perfect, but even if it helps you get you 10% better.
That's better than you were a little bit ago.
That is better. You can work with that.
The
flies.
I'm gonna be
I'm
Miyagi
getting so
son.
stressed out by the flies. Yeah.
So anyways, that's our segment on stress today, and dial in to our books. We'll show you our books real quick. Mine's called Runaway Mind, My Own Race with My Bipolar Disorder, and it's about my journey at 19 and what I went through with my family. And John's book is...
this is not just up and down, this is on mood, and it's the first part of my Bipolar Expert series. and you are the experts. My next book is going to be on behavior, and I get a lot into stress on behavior, so it'll give you all the nerdy stuff about stress.
Which, I can't wait to read that, because I continually need to learn this stuff about stress. It's like I'm a white knuckler, and I hate that.
I am. Our brains race really fast.
I feel like my jaw's always clenched, and I'm always white knuckling it through life.
Yeah.
And I forget the breathing, and I know these techniques, but we have to continue.
We have to keep reminding each other.
For sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you.
Subscribe to our channel and our email list, and
thanks
we'll
for
see you
tuning
next time.
Yeah, high five on that.
High five.
All right. on. I don't even know what he's doing.